Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to film my September wrap-up and my October reading plans. Okay, so I didn't have the best reading month in September. I typically average around 12 books a month, and I read 9, which isn't terrible, but it's not as good as I wanted to do. I got a little bit slumpy. I was trying to read a lot of romance books. I'm kind of not in a romance mood right now. I'm more heading into like thriller and fantasy mood, which a lot of people do in the fall time. So yeah, I didn't have the best reading month, and I also just read a lot of books I felt like that weren't memorable. Like a lot of there's 3 stars, nothing that really stood out to me. So yeah, also I've started 2 classes. One is, I work in childcare, so one is a class for that because I'm working on getting a director's credential. And then the other class, I'm also a personal trainer, so I need to recertify and have to take a class to do that. So I started those 2 classes, so that has kind of taken up a lot of my time too and given me less time for reading. So with that being said, we read 9 books and I'm going to tell you about them. So the first 3 things I read were books 2 through 4 of the Wolf Hotel series. This was for a read along that was hosted by a bunch of amazing ladies on BookTube, and there's live shows for it, and it was a lot of fun. I listened to all of the books on audio. I read the first book in the series back in August, so I just need to read the last 3. These are all by K. Tucker. So if you don't know, Wolf Hotel is about a girl who, she's like saving herself for marriage. She grew up really religious, and then she finds her fiance that she was saving herself for, and he was saving himself for her. She finds him cheating on her. So they break up, and she goes to Alaska to work at Wolf Hotel. And she ends up meeting Henry Wolf, which is the owner of Wolf Hotel, and he is a billionaire, and it goes from there. And it kind of, you follow her from being like innocent and naive to kind of coming into herself more. And yeah, it was okay. It was an okay series. I think I gave every book 4 stars. So it was definitely enjoyable. It was a fun time. They're really quick audiobooks. And yeah, so it's the 3 that I read were Break Me, Teach Me, and Surrender to Me. My favorites were definitely Break Me is my first favorite, and then my second favorite was the 4th book, which is Surrender to Me. These books are when she is kind of exploring herself more, if you get what I'm saying, and I didn't necessarily love Henry, so I liked those scenes more. I kind of felt Henry was like, well, I did like about Henry that he let her kind of explore her sexuality, but I just felt like he was kind of, I don't know, he just wasn't anything special to me. Like, I didn't love his character. He didn't really do anything for me. So yeah, those are those books. I had a fun time doing that read along. The next book I read was Not My Romeo, and this is by Issa Madden Mills. This is a sports romance, like loose sports romance. There's not much sports in it. It's just he's an athlete. This book is so unmemorable. I can't even really tell you what it's about, to be honest. It was a fun time while I was reading it, but I literally almost can't tell you anything about the plot, and I didn't even read it that long ago. I read another Issa Madden Mills book last month that I liked a lot better than this, and I felt like they were kind of similar, but I can remember that one much more. The only things I remember about this book is that he is a football player, and a football player. He ends up with a really bad reputation for reasons that I feel like are spoilers, so I won't tell you. She goes on a blind date with him, and she doesn't know who he is, and he doesn't even really believe that. And they end up sleeping with each other really early on in like having a one-night stand, which is one thing that I really, really don't like. And that's something that I've noticed she does in her books a lot. I really don't like when that like sexual tension is broken right away. Yeah, I just really don't prefer that in my books. So anyways, that happened, and then they end up seeing each other more and for reasons. And yeah, I don't know, it was a cute romance. There's like a play aspect in the end of the book, which a Romeo and Juliet play, which I thought was a nice touch, because I don't think I've ever read a romance that involved two characters acting in a play together, so that was an interesting takeaway from it. But overall, it really was not memorable, and I really didn't buy into their love story. The next book I read is a booktube darling here, and that's Flawless by Elsie. So I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4.5 stars. I don't know what it was about it that I originally gave it a 5-star, like right after I read it, but then I thought about it for like a day or two, and it really didn't give me that 5-star feeling, and I can't put my finger on why. But overall, it was a really, really good book, really solid. And if you don't know, this book is about a bull rider who says some things that get him in trouble, and he loses a sponsorship. So our heroine has to go and babysit him, basically. She follows him around everywhere, has to make sure he's not getting into trouble, because he also got in a fight and like punched a reporter in the face. So she has to go with him everywhere and make sure that he's not getting in trouble. And they have some really, he's obviously annoyed by this, so they have some really good like banter going on. There's some forced proximity, there's an only one bed trope. It was really, really, really good. The smut scenes in this are really good, so I'm definitely interested to read the second book that comes out this month. The next book I read was The Mixtape by Brittany Cherry, and I'd read one other book by Brittany Cherry, and I thought it was okay. This book I went into completely blind, and it's for a video that is coming up, and this book took me by surprise. I really, really loved it. I had no idea really what it was about, other than that it involved music, because the title is The Mixtape. And it was really, it's definitely low angst, and so if you like low angst books, I really think you should give this one a go. So we're following two musicians that are brothers, and they are pretty famous. They're doing really well for themselves, and then they get into a car accident and one of them dies. So we're following our hero, which is a surviving brother, and he's really having a hard time through everything that's happened to his brother. He was like the more quiet one in the group, and his brother was the one that was more like outgoing, did the interviews, that kind of thing. So he's really struggling, and a lot of fans are blaming him for his brother's death. So he's really having a hard time. And then we have our main girl character, and she is a single mom. She's really struggling to make it, and she works at this restaurant. She's a bartender. So and she's always been a fan of this duo's music. So she goes to work one day, and the main male character is supposed to have his like first concert since his brother died, and he just doesn't show up. So fans are angry about this, and she's at work, and she goes to wait on this guy, and it's the main hero who skipped out on his concert, and he's like in a disguise, basically wearing like sunglasses and a hat. And at first she doesn't recognize him, and there's all these angry fans there, because the bar that she works at is close to the venue where the concert is supposed to be held. So there's all these angry fans that are complaining and saying really shitty things about him, and he is belligerent drunk. And so he ends up getting in a fight with some of them, and she basically sneaks him out of the bar and takes him back to her house to like sleep it off. And it goes from there. The romance goes from there. She ends up losing her job because of this. So he decides to help her out because he feels so guilty. And the romance is so sweet. And like I said, really low angst. There's no unnecessary drama in it. The third act conflict makes a lot of sense, and it's not drama between the two characters, which I really, really appreciated. The reason why I give it 4 stars and not 5 is because it was so low angst, and I feel like I need a little bit of angst in my books to really, really enjoy them. So that's the only reason why I didn't give it 5 stars, but I definitely really recommend this one. The next book I read, unfortunately, is another one that I found really forgettable, and that's Dear Enemy by Kristen Callahan. So this is about growing up, these two, I think they're like neighbors, yeah, and they as kids didn't get along, and the main male character was kind of dating her sister, and these two people, like kids, hated each other for some reason. He like called her names, and yeah, and you can tell, like, while you're reading it, you can just tell, like, he hated her because he liked her, and I just really don't like that. But anyways, so then growing up, we follow them as they're grown-ups, and the main male character is like rich now and famous, and the girl's sister basically is a criminal. So the guy calls her up and he's like, your sister stole this thing from me, I need you to go get your sister and bring her to me so we can figure this out. And her sister's like MIA. This girl has no idea where her sister is. So she goes there to talk to him about it, and they strike up a deal that she's gonna work for him to pay off this thing that his sister stole. And that's like as much as I can remember, because the details are fuzzy, because like I said, it was not memorable at all. I really felt like these two characters weren't enemies. Like, I don't know, it's weird, like that was the name of the book, and I guess you get a little bit of backstory about them being enemies while they were in like younger kids. But I mean, like I said, you could tell it was just I was mean to you because I've always liked you thing. So I don't know, yeah, it just wasn't that great to me. It was 3 stars. It was an enjoyable read. Like, I wasn't bored, I didn't want to DNF it or anything like that, and it was fun at the time, but overall it just wasn't it for me. It's probably really more like a 2.5. I should probably write that on Goodreads, but yeah, that's Dear Enemy. So next, I read a thriller that I've really been wanting to read for a long time, and that is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This is my first Alice Feeney book that I read, and it blew me away. I loved this book. So it takes place in the middle of freaking nowhere, basically, in like an old church, and I think it's in Scotland. And yeah, it's like an old church, and this couple goes there. They're having some marriage problems, and so the wife really thinks this trip is going to help, and right away you can just tell that they have like so many secrets from each other, and it's very mysterious. And the husband actually has face blindness, so he can't recognize people based on like their facial features. Everything's like a blur to him. So they get to this old creepy church, and that's been like turned into a house, a place to stay, and creepy things keep happening, and it's just so good. I really recommend this one. I give it a 4.5. There is some plot twists at the end that I really did not see some coming and really surprised me. It was a little bit slow to get into at first, but once I was into it, like I was into it, and I was just flying through it. So definitely recommend that one. Really loved it. The last book that I read was The Birthday List by Daphne Perry, and I gave this book 4 stars. I thought this one was really cute. This is my 3rd Daphne Perry book, and it was enjoyable. So The Birthday List is about a girl, her husband passes away. He is like caught up in a robbery. She sends him off to get alcohol for a party that she's gonna have, and he gets caught up in the robbery at the liquor store and gets shot. So then you see this officer come to the house and tell her that her husband has passed away. And then it's flashed to the future, and we get I think it's 5 years in the future, and her husband has created this list of things that he wants to do before each birthday that he's gonna have. So she takes it upon herself to complete the things on his birthday list, kind of like as to serve his memory. And she ends up running into Cole, I'm pretty sure his name is, which is the officer that told her about her husband passing away. And he, since that night, has always kind of been infatuated with her. And while she's doing something on her husband's birthday list, she runs into him, and it ends up being their romance. But it's the way it's built up to their romance, I feel like was really well done. I feel like this book handles grief really well, and I really liked that the main male character did not, I just felt like it was handled really well with him in respecting her dead husband, and I just really liked that aspect of it, and the romance ended up being really sweet, and I really think this is a good book to check out. Obviously trigger warnings for loss of a loved one, but yeah, I really loved it. So those are the 9 books that I read in September. So now my October reading plans, and this is going to be super short and quick because there's only a couple things. So I first need to finish House of Sky and Breath. I'm still slowly working my way through this. I'm trying to just pick it up here and there when I want to, because if I read too much of it at once, I'd like automatically get in a slump. I don't know why. It was the same way with House of Earth and Blood too, which I ended up loving that book, but I just read it really, really slowly. So that's what I'm doing with this book too. So I want to hopefully finish that this month. And then I'm also in the middle of Daisy Hates right now. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'll probably finish it in the next couple of days. And then I also really, really, really want to get to Magnolia Park's Long Way Home. So hopefully that can happen. And then the next things on my reading plan are just some series that I really, really want to marathon that give me kind of the fall Halloween type of feeling. So the first one being the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. And so it's Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Curse, and Kingdom of the Fear, which I don't have because it just came out. So all I really know about these are that they follow witches, I believe. And there's a little bit of a love story involved. So that's all I really know. That's all I really want to know. I've heard some pretty good things about them, especially the last book that just came out. I've heard good things about, so I'm excited. As far as I know, this book was written as young adult, and then the last two books were written as new adult. So yeah, I'm excited to try these out. I really just want to marathon some series, and I'm excited to do that. I'm definitely in a fantasy mood as well. The next series that I want to marathon, and I should say that I'm not going to get through all of these, all of the books in all of these series. I just want to get through as many as I can. And the next trilogy is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is the only one I have. I'll buy the other two at some point. But this is a young adult murder mystery book, I'm pretty sure. I love mystery books, and yeah, I'm really excited to give this one a go. The next one is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. The only book in this series I have read is Vampire Academy, and I remember nothing, so I'm going to reread it, and then I have the rest of the books up there. So I'm excited to give this a try, and then I really want to watch the the Peacock show of Vampire Academy. So I think that will be really exciting. This is a pretty long series, so I'm definitely not going to make it through all of them in October, but I'm going to at least hopefully get through the first one and maybe the second. The last series that I really, really want to binge in October is, what's it called? The Stay a Spell series. So it's, the first one is Wolf Gone Wild. I have that on audiobook, and it's available on Kindle Unlimited. There's 5 books out in the series so far. It's by Juliet Cross, and I think it's a werewolf and a witch romance, and it sounds really good, and I've heard amazing things about the series. So yeah, those are my reading plans for October. I hope that you had a great reading month in September, and I can't wait to get some good reading done in October. I'll see you next time. Bye.